Good morning, everyone. We finished the sensory system. So, sensory system to do the motor function, like body movements. So, we have a motor system. Okay, so that will mainly control the motor function or motor actions. Motor neurons are the group of neurons that mainly control the motor activities. Okay, so in that, we have a lower motor neurons and upper motor neurons. The lower motor neurons are mainly which is present in the spinal cord and cranial motor nuclei. Okay, so anterior horn cells, or just you remember the lower motor neurons are which is present in the spinal cord and the cranial motor nuclei. So like alpha and gamma motor neurons. Okay, alpha and gamma motor neurons that will innervate the muscle. Okay, that will innervate the muscle for a movement, the skeletal muscle. So the alpha and gamma motor neuron make a neuromuscular junction with the muscle. Okay, so mainly this motor neurons will make a neuromuscular junction with the muscle, that is called lower motor neurons. So next, in the motor descending tracts, so like ascending tracts that will carry the sensory system. So there is a descending tracts. Okay, so we call it descending tracts. So these descending tracts are descending from the motor cortex or from the cerebral cortex. Okay, so that is the efferent impulses from the higher part of the CNS to the spinal cord. So I will tell later. So these descending tracts get synapse with the lower motor neurons. Okay, so these are called upper motor neurons and influence the lower motor neuron activity. So just remember, in the motor neurons, mainly the motor neurons are concerned for the motor activity. So in that, upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron. So lower motor neurons are which is present in the spinal cord. So which receive the efferents from the higher center like CNS or a brain or motor cortex. Okay, so from the motor cortex, some of the neurons or efferents are descending down. So that is called descending tracts. So we call it as that is upper motor neurons. So coming to the motor tracts or the descending tracts. So there is a descending tract. There are two types of tracts we can see. The pyramidal tract, okay, and extra pyramidal tract. So the pyramidal tract mainly arises from cerebral cortex. Okay, which is mainly arises from the cerebral cortex. What is cerebral cortex if you think? So you can see, so in the brain there is a cerebrum is present. Okay, so if you open the skull, there is a cerebrum is present. So on the cerebrum, the outer part of the cerebrum, we call it as cerebral cortex. Okay, suppose this is your brain. So you can see it is not a smooth surface. It has a many depression and elevation you can see on the brain. Okay, so this is called cerebrum. So in the cerebrum, the outer part we call it as cerebral cortex. Okay, so this cerebral cortex mainly contain a different areas. Okay, different area. So in that there is we divide it into motor cortex and sensory cortex. So the motor cortex mainly concerned for motor activity. That means the impulses, as it is a voluntary function, the impulses are generated by itself in the motor cortex. Okay, but in the sensory cortex, the impulses are like sensations are carrying. So but here the impulses are generated in the motor cortex, and from there it is descending down. So this is called upper motor neurons. Okay, and end up in the spinal cord. Okay, so in the spinal cord, so it is a final output like alpha and gamma motor neurons. So it come and innervate with this. So I will tell later. So this is called pyramidal tract. So pyramidal tract is very important. So the tracts are arises from the cerebral cortex. So next is the extra pyramidal tract. So these tracts other than the cortex. It is not coming from the brain, cerebral cortex. So the like brainstem nuclei are collectively called extrapyramidal tracts. So here the tracts are signals that arises from the brainstem nuclei. That means from the cerebellum, medulla. So like that, or thalamus it is coming. So we will focus only to pyramidal tracts. Okay. So coming to the course of pyramidal tract. So you can see here, so this is the brain cerebral cortex, okay, the whole of the cerebral cortex. So in the cerebral cortex, there are some area which is concerned for motor activity, okay. So the fibers will take origin from the motor cortex area number 4 and 6, okay, 4 and 6, area number 4 and 6. So in the sensory cortex it is going to the area 3, 1, 2. So same thing here, it is going to coming from area number 4 and 6, okay, 4 and 6, area number 4 and 6, which is present in the frontal lobe, okay. So I am talking about the origin, okay. So origin, the fibers take origin from area number 4 and 6 of the motor cortex area, okay. Next, after taking the origin, so the many fibers, you can see here the many fibers, okay. So many fibers will descending down as a corona radiata. So it is like a, so many fibers are descending and it become one, so not one, so together, it become together, so that we call it as it is descending down as a, these fibers will form a corona radiata and passing through the internal capsule, okay, and get completely packed, okay. So initially it will be how, so initially, so when it is take origin, so it is like a fibers will be like this. So after, when it is passing through, this is the internal capsule, so after passing through the internal capsule, all the fibers get completely packed, okay. So now like this only it will descend. As it go descend down, so when it reach the lower part of the medulla oblongata, okay, so this is the medulla. When it is descending down, so in the lower part of the medulla, so these fibers will divide, okay. So will divide, and it is not 50% of the fiber, it is not 50%, only the 85% of the fiber cross the midline. Suppose, so this is one part, this is the imaginary midline, so same thing is, so here it is also present, like left and right cerebral hemisphere, okay. So next, this 85% of the fibers will cross the midline and enter the opposite side, okay, cross the midline and form a lateral corticospinal tract. So I will show another diagram. So this is very little bit easy, okay. So it is take origin from area number 4 and 6 and passing down as a corona radiata when it is passing through the internal capsule. So here the internal capsule, so it will form a, so actually you have to show many fibers. So it is passing through down, so at the medulla, okay, so at the part of the lower part of the medulla, 85%, okay, 85% of the fiber cross to opposite side and form a lateral corticospinal tract. Cortico means from the cortex to spinal, okay. So the fibers are from coming from cortex to spinal cord and form a lateral corticospinal tract, okay. And the remaining 15% of the fibers will not cross, it directly go and form a ventral corticospinal tract, okay, form a ventral corticospinal tract. So now this lateral corticospinal tract which is present in the lateral funicles, which end on the anterior horn cell, which is present in the different segment of the spinal cord. Okay, so that means, so it will end up in the spinal cord, so and make a synaptic connection with the alpha motor neurons. So same thing, so the ventral corticospinal tract will pass, will not cross, it will form a directly it will go and make a connection with the alpha motor neuron that will innervate the muscles, okay, the limb muscle and trunk muscle. So if you draw the diagram, this diagram is enough, okay. So the previous diagram is very difficult to draw, so just you draw this diagram. So whatever I told, so everything is there, okay. So theory, so just practice the diagram. So without diagram, so marks will be not given, and it is one of the important question for 10 marks question, important 10 marks question. So write the origin, course and termination of pyramidal tract or corticospinal tract, both are same. So you have to write the origin, course, okay, then termination. So these are not required, okay. And this diagram, okay, so very important. So next, coming to the functions of pyramidal tract. What are the functions? So coming to the functions, mainly it controls the voluntary skilled motor movement. So voluntary means walking, okay, or your any type of actions you are doing. Then skilled means, so while writing and all, or doing any skilled movements, okay, and it will subserve for superficial reflexes like abdominal and plantar reflexes, means so it also perform a reflex activity, okay. So if you do abdominal and plantar reflexes, and also this tract controls the skilled voluntary movements of extremities like hands and fingers. So that means when you are doing pick up, you want to pick up small things by using your fingers, or writing, okay. So that is that time you are using your fingers. So those are skilled voluntary movements, and also helps to maintain the muscle tone, okay. So that is very important. So next, coming to lesion at pyramidal tract, okay. So what happens, it is the inability to bring about the voluntary movements is known as paralysis. So paralysis means what? So voluntary movements you can't do. So that is mainly because of lesion. So lesion means, so any damage or cutting of these fibers, so will lead to paralysis. So in that also there are different types. Monoplegia means any one of the limb get damaged. That means the loss of voluntary movements of any one of the limb, okay. So your leg also, or your hands. Paraplegia means both the lower limbs, okay, both your leg get paralysis, okay. Then hemiplegia is very important. So here there is a loss of voluntary movements in one half of the body, okay. So one full side, so left side or right side, okay. So right side means right hand and right limb, etc. Then quadriplegia means all the four limbs are will be loss of voluntary movements, okay. All the four limbs of the body are paralyzed. That is called quadriplegia. But there the head and the neck will be except the head and the neck, it is not paralyzed. So all the other parts get paralyzed, okay. So that is lesion. These are the extrapyramidal tracts. These are not needed. So just I will name it: rubrospinal tract, tecto, reticulo, vestibulo, olivospinal tracts. So functions of extrapyramidal tract. So it will help the body bring the normal movements by the influence on the muscle tone. It controls the automatic associated movements such as swinging the arm during walking and all. and also control the autonomic visceral activities. So next, coming to the upper and lesion, difference between upper and lower motor neuron lesion. So this is also very important question. Okay, so in this chapter, one is the pyramidal tract, so origin, course, termination and function, and the lesion, so you have to study. Okay, so then the next is difference between upper and lower motor neuron lesion. So what will happen if upper motor neuron lesion means the cutting of these fibers are taking place. So upper motor neurons means what? It is mainly by descending tract lesion. Okay, so here the neurons give rise these descending tracts. The neurons which is giving the descending tracts are called upper motor neuron, and the lower motor neurons are alpha motor neurons of spinal cord. So the first only I told. So LMN, which is present in the spinal cord, the neurons which is present in spinal cord, and UMN, the descending tracts. You just write the descending tracts, and lesion of alpha motor neurons of spinal cord is enough. Okay. In UMN lesion, so muscle tone increases, okay, and leads to hypertonia. So here it is decrease. Here rigidity is seen. So rigidity means stiffness. Okay, so because of hypertone, the tone increases, the muscles will become rigid like a stone. So it will become like a stone, like that rigidity occurs. Here because of decrease in muscle tone, so hypotonia, there is no rigidity. Then here spastic paralysis, here flaccid paralysis. Then here group of the muscles are affected, okay, because it is upper motor, descending tracts are a group of neurons are present, so muscle groups will be get affected, so individual muscles are affected. Superficial reflexes are lost, here it is also lost. So plantar reflex, if you see here, the Babinski sign positive it will come, so here it is lost. Deep reflexes are exaggerated, okay, so here it is lost. So here there is no muscle wasting because of hypertonia. So here muscle undergo wasting. Okay, so these are the difference between any five differences, if you remember, is enough. Okay. So that's complete the motor system. So remember that the motor system, so mainly control the motor activity. Mainly control the motor activity in that upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron. So in upper motor neuron, so we call it, that will form a descending tracts, and lower motor neuron will form a alpha motor neuron in the spinal cord. Okay, so coming to the descending tracts, there are two types of descending tracts can be seen: pyramidal tract and extrapyramidal tracts. The pyramidal tract will take the origin from the motor cortex, okay, and extrapyramidal tract taking the origin from other than the cortex, like it is taking origin from cerebellum or basal ganglia or thalamus, like that. Okay, then pyramidal tract is also called it as corticospinal tract. So cortico means cortex, it is taking origin, and spinal cord, it is coming to spinal cord. So when taking origin, the area number 4 and 6, okay, area number 4 and 6 we call the primary motor cortex. Okay, so primary motor cortex, it will take origin. So then these fibers descend down, many fibers are descending down. It looks like a that we call it as corona radiata. Okay, so this corona radiata will pass to the internal capsule and form a all will compactly packed. Okay, so when it approaching the internal capsule, so all the fibers are compactly packed. So then like that it is descending down. So when it is descending down, when it reaches the medulla, so in the lower part of the medulla, so 85% of the fibers will cross the midline. That means it is going to opposite side. Hence, so in our body, so when you are doing a left movements, okay, left body movements. So the fibers are controlled by our right hemisphere or right motor cortex. The impulses are originating from the right part. So when you are doing the right body movements, so your left part, okay, so left motor cortex, the impulses are arising from the left part. Hence any lesion, so that will affect the opposite side, because in the midline it is crossing to the opposite side. So your any lesion in the right motor cortex will affect the left movements, okay, left body movements. Okay, so next, so 85% cross the midline and going to form a lateral corticospinal tract, and in coming and innervate in the anterior horn cell of the spinal cord. So from there it will going to innervate through alpha motor neuron. It is innervating the skeletal muscle. 15% of the fibers will descend down and it will form a ventral corticospinal tract or anterior corticospinal tract, and also it innervates the spinal cord. Sorry, it will end up in the spinal cord through interneurons and innervate the skeletal muscles. Okay, so that's complete the descending tract. So in this again there is a difference between upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion. Okay, so next we will go to hypothalamus. So hypothalamus, it is like a part of the brain. Okay, so now we will discuss the each part of the brain. Okay, so first I am telling about the hypothalamus. It is one of the important subcortical region. So cortex 1 and subcortical. So below the cortex there is subcortical region is present. So it has a many nuclei. Okay, so many nuclei. So we call it as hypothalamic nuclei. So you already studied about the hypothalamus. So mainly it is almost all the whatever the functions which is taking place in our body is controlled by hypothalamus. Okay, it is controlled by hypothalamus. So you can see here. So this is hypothalamus. Okay, so this is the brain stem. So this is the hypothalamus. So very important region. You will just study the functions is enough. Okay, coming to the functions of the hypothalamus, first function, so regulation of autonomic nervous system. Okay, so it will control the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so and influence the function of cardiovascular function, because the heart is mainly controlled by sympathetic and parasympathetic. Hence the hypothalamus is regulating the functions of the heart. Then GI tract function. So next is the role in sleep. So in the hypothalamus there is a waking center and sleep centers are present. Okay, so there are two nucleus called posterior hypothalamus and preoptic area. So mainly concerned for sleep and wake cycle. So your cycle is going properly. So in the morning time you are not sleeping. So that is because that time your waking center is get activated. So and in the evening, so in the night, you are sleeping, because that time your sleep center is activated. So like this the hypothalamus will maintain this cycle properly. Okay, then regulation of the body temperature. So here there is a heat gain center and heat loss center is present. Okay, in the hypothalamus. So that will regulate the body temperature. Then thrust centers are present in preoptic and paraventricular nuclei. So mainly control the water intake. Then important role in emotion. Okay, so mammillary body which is present is one of the nucleus of hypothalamus. Then hypothalamus, so many nucleus are present. Okay, so that is role in emotion. Then role in circadian rhythm, that is suprachiasmatic nucleus. Circadian rhythm means, so whatever the cycle, the biological clock. Okay, we call it the biological clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So it keep the track of time in the body to bring about certain changes in the body function according to the variation in time. Okay, so what it will do, it will keep the track of time. So that means, so in the night 6 to 7 hours we are sleeping, so that the time it will keep, okay, and any changes which is taking place in the body, it will changes according to that variation of the time. So and also role in a sexual control, so mainly the arcuate and periventricular nucleus. So you no need of write the name of the nucleus, okay, just you write the functions is enough. So it is given in our textbook, so same thing you study and write, okay. So many functions, this is posterior pituitary function, anterior pituitary, you know. So mainly the hypothalamus release the releasing hormones. In the endocrine class I told that also you can write. Then control of food intake, okay, so that is one of the important function, okay. So in the hypothalamus there is a feeding center and satiety centers are present. So the feeding center, so mainly for center for hunger, okay, so hunger, so when you are feeling hungry, so what will happen, so this center get stimulated and give the signal to the body to take the food, okay, that is called feeding center. So after you take the food, so it will be fullness, you feel fullness, that is mainly because of the satiety center, okay. So that is, so if there is any lesion of this VMH, that will produce the obesity, okay. So that means, so the fullness, the feeling of fullness you are not feeling, so that time what will happen, satiety center if any damage, you are not feeling fullness, so that will you will eat more and more food that bring the obesity, okay. So then there is anorexia nervosa we call. So if there is any lesion of this feeding center, okay, so any lesion of the feeding center, so the person will not feel to eat, the hunger will not occur, and he will suffer with the anorexia nervosa, okay. So that's complete the hypothalamus.